Hello, my name is Jacob Rubin, and I will be talking about the past and current visions of automated soldiers in the United States. Ever since the late 20th century, where the United States military became one of the top patrons of the electronics industry, ideas about the future of automated soldiers have been characterized by both utopian and dystopian visions. World War II was the first time unmanned killing machines were utilized in warfare, with both Allied and Axis forces experimenting with remote control bombs and unmanned aerial vehicles. The American system of manufacturing coming out of the Second Industrial Revolution enabled the mass production of firearms and munitions that soldiers could use in combat. However, it did nothing to reduce the number of friendly casualties. The idea of using independently controlled robots equipped with weapons as a means of replacing an army composed of humans evoked both utopian and dystopian visions. While it was not until the age of information and the rise of advanced microprocessors that the idea of automated soldiers would begin to come to fruition, it did not stop societies from speculating as to what they would look like and what purpose they would serve. The entertainment industry was one of the main patrons to the ideas regarding what automated soldiers of the future would not only look like, but also how they would be implemented in society. An example of this was the 1991 movie The Terminator, which details a dystopian vision of the future taking place in Los Angeles during the year 2019. In this movie, Los Angeles is transformed into a nuclear wasteland due to an automated computer system, Skynet, launching nuclear strikes around the world. In this apocalyptic aftermath, the surviving humans are forced to fight Terminators, or automated soldiers created by Skynet with the hopes of saving what is left of the human race. Written around the same time as The Terminator, Isaac Asimov composed the book Robot Visions, where he detailed the 3 laws of robotics. According to Asimov, the 3 laws would be hardwired into any robotic soldier's brain in order to provide the machines with some sort of unbreakable moral code. As written by Asimov, the 3 laws are as followed. First, a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. Second, a robot must obey orders given to it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Lastly, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. The Cold War also influenced a different angle of dystopian visions regarding automated soldiers. During the era of nuclear arms race between the United States and Soviet Union, people were concerned that if one country developed the means to begin creating automated soldiers to be used in combat, a new arms race of autonomous killing machines between the two superpowers would be inevitable. Just as most chemists and biologists have no interest in building chemical or biological weapons, most artificial intelligence researchers have no interest in building AI weapons, and do not want others to tarnish their field by doing so, potentially creating major backlash against artificial intelligence that curtails future societal benefits. Automated soldiers have not yet been utilized. However, society has still created rules and regulations regarding their potential use in combat. The International Committee for Robot Arms Control is an international non-profit association committed to the peaceful use of robotics in the service of humanity as well as the regulation of robotic unmanned weapons. Noel Sharkey, a professor and chair on the committee, states that, quote, "I'm not against autonomous robots. My vacuum is an autonomous robot. We are simply calling for a prohibition on the kill function on such robots. A robot doesn't have moral agency and can't be held accountable for crimes. There's no way to punish a robot." According to the committee, just because humans now have the capabilities to create autonomous killing machines, it does not mean that we should. The amount of variables that are unaccounted for regarding the use of AI in warfare are too much, and the consequences of providing lethal capabilities to something we do not fully understand can have monumental consequences. The United Nations have also weighed on the topic, releasing a new draft report trying to halt autonomous weapons development, while insisting that autonomous killer robots, quote, "should not have the power of life and death over human beings." According to the report, the UN is mainly concerned with the idea of automated soldiers being viewed as a means of conducting ethical killing on the battlefield. Even if a robot has software that follows all the various rules of engagement, the very question of figuring out who an enemy is in the first place is extremely complicated. It becomes further complicated as the enemy adapts, changes his conduct, and even hides among civilians. Politicians and lawyers can fill pages arguing these points, so it is unreasonable to expect robots to find them any easier. The majority of the visions regarding the future of automated soldiers are dystopian ones. There are also those who believe that technology can be used as a deterrent for two countries to go to war. The poet John Donne said in 1621 how the invention of better cannons would help limit the cruelty and crimes of war, and the great expense of blood is avoided. Richard Gatling hoped his new fast-firing gun would serve to reduce the bloodshed of war, while Alfred Nobel believed that explosives he invented would make war unthinkable. Now some analysts believe that robot warriors can help reduce the flow of blood and perhaps make war more moral. Proponents for the use of automated soldiers claim that machines that are programmed for specific situations on the battlefield are able to perform better than their human counterparts. According to these visions, machines can be programmed to have a higher degree of precision, better than the best human snipers, and therefore can reduce human casualties. Automated soldiers would also theoretically be able to make decisions in a more deliberate manner than normally possible. Soldiers describe how one of the toughest aspects of fighting in cities is how you have to burst into a building and, in a matter of milliseconds, figure out who an enemy is and who is a civilian. Humans can practice again and again through simulated environments, but one can never fully avoid the risk of making a terrible mistake in that split second in a dark room in the midst of battle. By contrast, a robot can enter the room and only shoot at someone who shoots first without endangering a soldier's life. Given the current context of society, where individual human life is viewed as having the most value as ever before, automated soldiers offer a solution for nations to engage in armed conflicts without the use of human soldiers. It is impossible to know what the future of automated soldiers will be like. However, just like the late 20th century, there will be plenty of utopian and dystopian visions to guide our predictions.